Hey there, everyone. Steve Metrics here of No Debate Sports. And today we're looking at Aaron Rodgers being dealt to the New York Jets. So, just yesterday, that just happened. And is it going to be worth it for fantasy managers to own Aaron Rodgers for their team? And how good of a performance is he going to bring for the upcoming 2023 season? So here we have our fantasy depth chart or our depth tracker of the New York Jets. And here we see Aaron Rodgers is now the starting quarterback of the Jets with Zach Wilson backing him up. And he does have some former pieces that he played with in Green Bay in Alan Lazard. So is the complementary pieces that he has with the Jets, are they as significant as the pieces he had with the Packers? And is it going to bring him that future success with the Jets? So if we go back to the Packers and see who was on that roster that they had, we can see that he had some pretty darn good receivers there in Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs. And looking at this chart here, the players that have that bold, bona fide formatting to them, they are the elite players at their position in the league. So your players like Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, were significant contributors in the fantasy realm of 2022. Uh, so is Aaron Rodgers really going to have that many better pieces with the New York Jets than what he had with the Green Bay Packers? So if we look here with Green Bay, they had two. They had Christian Watson, they had Aaron Jones. We go to the Jets, and we're going to see that really all they had there was Garrett Wilson. Um, they also had Brees Hall, who had a phenomenal start to the season, but once he had his lower leg injury, that was it for him. He's an excellent running back. Probably in 2023, he's probably going to have more of a significant role in the second half of the season once he's more fully healed. Zonovan Knight played fairly well, but Brees Hall is really, in my eyes, that piece in their offense that really keeps that team moving. So now with Aaron Rodgers there, that brings more focus to him and less focus to the run game with Brees Hall and Zonovan Knight. So if we look at Aaron Rodgers, how strong is he going to be for 2023 based off of 2022? A lot of people said last season he would probably finish middle of the pack, which he did. But when we look at the bona fide numbers, how strong did he do in 2022? So let's go into that and let's actually see who those higher performing quarterbacks were. So especially we have like our Jalen Hurtses, our Josh Allen's, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, our Justin Fields. Those are the quarterbacks that really played extremely well week in, week out. And the way that I went about this was I basically found each and every week the top 10 quarterbacks were the ones that I looked at their performances for. So if you were outside the top 10, I did not score those quarterbacks or the other players at their positions for ones that I kept track of. But if you were in the top 10, then we created this hockey stick trend of figuring out how valuable you were close to the highest scoring player at that position on a given week. So here in week one, we see Patrick Mahomes was the number one scorer with about 35 fantasy points. So we credited him 100% of that value. And then we scaled back down for the other top 10 quarterbacks. So here we see that Aaron Rodgers is not up here on this list. But let's see where he falls on the weeks that he did play. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do Control F of Aaron Rodgers and find where he's located throughout this sheet. And we're going to see where his weekly performances were. All right. All right, so it looks like week one was not so hot. That was that game in Minnesota where he had that great throw against Christian Watson that really could have started the game with a big reception, but that chemistry wasn't there. So his first week one was no touchdowns, one interception. Not the greatest. We go to week two, a little, much better performance with two scores, no picks. Looks pretty good. Week 12, or sorry, week three, he was pretty darn close to being top 10 with two scores and a pick. Looks like week four is up there as well, but still not cracking that tight top 10. Week five, same thing. Week six, against the Jets, the team he's with now, a tough defense to play against. So his performance makes sense for that week. You get to week seven, another tough defense with Washington. Start working your way through week eight, two touchdowns and a pick. There's a lot of two touchdowns and either one or zero interceptions going on with Aaron Rodgers. So that's pretty typical for what we're seeing for him throughout the season. Dallas was the week where he did crack into our top 10, was a bona fide quarterback, had three touchdowns, no picks, had a big game that day, and he did fairly well. But even that being so, with the way that my metric scales those top 10 performances, that's still on the back end of the top 10. So it's not as significant as Patrick Mahomes, who had nearly 30 fantasy points that day, or Justin Fields, who had almost 40. Combined, those quarterbacks had they had six passing touchdowns and two rushing touchdowns. So the fact that these quarterbacks can explode with both their arm and their legs, that is extremely significant. So again, we're not seeing that explosiveness out of Aaron Rodgers. Especially we work our way through week 11, again, two touchdowns, no picks. We get to week 12, you get two scores, two picks. It just keeps showing up that he has good weeks. He definitely keeps the Packers in the hunt for every game he plays, but it's not as explosive as what we're seeing with the other higher end quarterbacks. So if we go back to that chart where we're looking at the top 10 or the most bona fide quarterbacks throughout the course of the season, it does match up with what we feel. We do feel that Hurts, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Fields, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, they're all the elite quarterbacks of the league. We work our way further down, we're going to see the other quarterbacks that have really good weeks, but they don't do it as consistently on a week-to-week basis. So where did Aaron Rodgers fall on this overall list? Again, we only saw that one crack of the top 10. We saw another week where he was close, but we really only saw that one week that he was up there. So in all, he only scored 3.5 bona fide number fantasy points. And when we look at his Jets quarterbacks that he supplanted, those quarterbacks actually all had greater performances on a given week over the course of a season than he had. Zach Wilson is right next to him with 4, Joe Flacco with 12, and Mike White, for the weeks that he played before he got hurt, was up there at 18. So all in all, over the course of a season, those numbers aren't that great, and all 4 quarterbacks are really not that elite for your team to really have an explosive week and carry that offense on their back. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be okay with the Jets, but I don't think it's going to be as significant as your elite quarterbacks in the NFL. He has some strong pieces with the Jets, but all in all, those pieces aren't that much greater than the Packers. His run game will be worse with the Jets. His tight ends will be better with the Jets. His receiving core is going to be kind of a mixed bag. They're going to be good, but the young players with the Packers are pretty strong in their own right. And come the draft, they're probably going to draft another high-end receiver and a tight end to complement the ones they have for Jordan Love. So that's the outlook I have for Aaron Rodgers for 2023 based off of 2022. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, I'm Steve Metrics of No Debate Sports, and we'll see you next time.